Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 9, Long O and Long U. Please take a second to gather your materials. You'll need this book open to page 59. You'll also need some colorful pens, markers, crayons, or pencils. Remember, whatever I do on the board, you should be doing on your page. Please save room as well for your key. If you can't fit it on here, a separate sheet of paper is fine. All right, so last week we started some lessons about long vowels. We learned that one of the most common ways to make a vowel say its name is by using the vowel, then a consonant, then a bossy E. That bossy E jumps over the consonant and makes the vowel say its name. We saw that last week with long A words like flake and long I words like slide. This week we are continuing with our study of bossy E words, but we're looking at words that contain a long O or a long U. So as I read this list with you, be on the lookout for the long O sound or the long U sound. Remember also that long U sometimes says U and sometimes says oo. Okay? All right, so please repeat after me. Close, flute, globe, plume, slope, smoke, spoke, stone, stove, and wrote. All right, please choose a color. And what I want you to do is draw a box around the O-S-E in close. Remember, this bossy E is going to jump over the S and tell the O, say your name, say your name. The same thing is going to happen right here with the word globe. That bossy E is going to jump over the B and make the O say its name. Same thing with slope. Say your name. Say your name. Same thing with smoke and spoke and stone. Notice the E is silent. It's not making any noise at the end of the word. It's just controlling the vowel, the O in this case. Okay? So all of the words I've boxed contain a long O. It's got the O plus a consonant plus a silent E. So red box equals long O. All right, let's choose a second color. And this time we're looking for long U words. So right here in the word flute, we have the bossy E making the U say its name. Kind of. Remember I said long U can say U or oo. You have to try out both sounds and see what sounds right. Flute or flute. Flute sounds right. Same thing here. We have the bossy E jumping over to make the U either say plume or plume. Plume is the correct pronunciation. Okay, so blue box equals long U. All right, now, a couple weeks ago, we started learning about silent letters. We found out that they often appear in pairs, right? Like KN shows up at the words like knee or knock, and WR shows up at the beginning of words like wrap or wrist. Well, this week we have another example of a silent letter T. We have the W and R together in wrote, but only the R is talking. It's as if the W is not even there. So over here, just as review, green box equals silent letter T. Okay? W and R always show up together, and when they do, the W is silent, the R does the talking. Okay, now for the past few weeks, we've also been talking about verbs. Remember, verbs are action words, things a person can do, things an animal can do, things a vehicle can do, right? Those are verbs. So I want to choose another color, and I want to go through and find some verbs. Now, our first word is close, right? Like you close the door, you close the window. That's a verb, right? That's something you do. You can't flute, you can't globe, you can't plume, you can't slope. You can smoke. Not a good habit though, but yes, some people smoke cigarettes. Or the fireplace. The campfire started smoking, right? If something catches on fire, it starts smoking. So it's not just people who smoke, right? Spoke is a verb, right? I spoke to your teacher. And wrote is a verb. I wrote a letter. So in all these cases, wherever I put the purple V, that stands for a verb, which is an action word, okay? Now, we've been learning about how to add endings to these words, right? So if I want to take close and change it to closing, right? Instead of saying the store is going to close, I want to say the store is closing. I drop that bossy E, and I add ing. If I want to say, oh, the store just closed, I drop that bossy E again, and I add ed. Okay, so closing and closed are other forms of the verb close. If I take the word smoke, same thing. I can change it to smoking by dropping the E and adding ing. I can change it to smoked by dropping the E and adding ed. Okay? These are what we call regular verbs. They follow the rules. There's nothing tricky about them. But let's look at spoke, right? Spoke is the past tense. It describes what we already did. I can take the word speak. I like to speak. Now I am speaking. But I wouldn't change it to speaked. That's not a real word. I would change it to spoke. This is a rule breaker. It's an irregular past tense. Same thing with this word. We saw this last week. Remember, on your list you had the word write. Right now I am writing. See how we drop the E? But I wouldn't say yesterday I writed. I would say yesterday I wrote. Okay? So I'm going to circle the word spoke and the word wrote. And over here I'm going to explain that those are irregular past tense. Past tense describes something that already happened. These describe something that already happened. I already spoke, I already wrote, but because they don't follow that ed rule, they are irregular. They are not regular. You're going to have more practice with words like this when you get to page 62. On the top, you're going to write your usual ing and ed endings, making sure to drop that bossy E. And then on the bottom, you're going to see examples of rule breakers. All right, but before you get to that, let's just quickly check our vocabulary here. So I told you this first word means close, right? The opposite of open. But this is also how you spell close, right? Like, oh, I'm getting close. I'm almost there. So keep in mind, close or close are both spelled the same. Flute, that's an instrument that people play. When you get into 4th or 5th grade, you might decide to join your school band, and that might be an instrument you will play. It's just a little skinny instrument like that. A globe is a ball. The most famous globe is the Earth, right? Maybe you've seen something that looks like this, right? It shows all the continents, and you can spin it around and look at different places on Earth. This spinning ball is called a globe. A plume is a feather. If you think of the character Peter Pan, remember how he has this little hat and then there's a feather sticking out? That's a plume, okay? Slope could be what we use to describe the side of a mountain. So when you go skiing, maybe you take the chairlift to the top and then you ski down the slope. So this is the slope right here, okay? When we ride our bikes, it's not hard to go up a slope like this, but it's almost impossible to pedal up a steep slope. And then we have to be careful because we go really, really fast down a steep slope. Okay, so think of a slope as the side of a hill. Smoke, we know what smoke is, right? Smoke comes out of the chimney, smoke comes out of a campfire. Okay, spoke we talked about. Oh, but by the way, spoke also has another meaning. It can mean like I just spoke to you, but it can also refer to the parts of a wheel or a tire. So if you think about your bicycle, those little metal things that attach, I'm sorry, this is a horrible drawing, attach the middle of the wheel to the edges, those are called spokes. I know when I was a little kid, we liked to put these little colorful, I don't know what they were called, little plastic colorful things on the spokes to decorate them. It was cool when they spun around. Stone is a rock, right? Like a stone wall, it's made out of rocks. A stove is what you bake stuff in. So you open up the door to put in your cookie sheets or your baking pans. You put them in the stove. And then rote, we talked about. All right, so now you guys are ready to start your unit. I know you'll do great. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.